Listen, do not blink. 2 sisters, 1 man. A sweet smile hiding a secret if you think you know who love will choose. Hold that thought, because before the end, your heart may change. The sun was bright over Lagos. Yellow buses moved fast on the road. People shouted prices in the market. Sellers called for customers. Children laughed and ran. In the middle of the noise was a small compound with a rusty black gate and cracked walls. Inside that compound lived 2 sisters, Amara and Chioma. Amara was the elder. She loved books. She spoke softly. She dreamed of being a lawyer one day. She liked quiet evenings and neat corners. She found comfort in her books, even when the world outside was loud. Chioma was the younger she laughed with. Her whole face. She loved bright clothes and music. She danced while cleaning the house. She wanted to be on TV one day, maybe as an actress or presenter. If a room was dull, she brought the light with her smile. Their mother, Mama, and Kechi sold pepper and tomatoes in Mile 12 Market. She woke early, came home late, hugged her girls, and prayed for them every night. Their father had died when they were small. So the 3 of them stood like a small team. They shared 1 room, 1 dream, and 1 pot of soup. When money was tight, they did not have much, but they had love one Saturday. Everything changed. A taxi stopped at the gate. A man came down with 2 bags. He paid the driver and walked into the compound with a smile that felt like cool breeze. His name was David. He had kind eyes and a calm face. He greeted the landlord, the women cooking by the corridor, and the children playing by the tap. He bowed slightly when he greeted elders. He said he would be staying in the empty flat opposite. The sisters Chioma saw him first. She was washing clothes in a red basin and humming a song. She lifted her head and froze for a second. She smiled without knowing why. Amara also saw him, but only glanced once and returned to her book that evening. Chioma went to the tap to fetch water. She liked going when the sun was soft because it painted the compound gold as she filled her bucket. David came out with a small bag of trash. He smiled. "Good evening." He said, "Good evening." She replied, "Asterisk is the tap strong today?" He asked, "Sometimes it is slow." She said, "But today it is kind." "May I help you carry the bucket?" he asked. "Are you sure it is heavy?" She said, "I can try." He said, "My hands are strong when they want to impress a neighbor." She laughed and let him carry it to the door. She thanked him. He smiled back. That was how their talks began. At first it was only greetings, "Good morning, how was your day?" The power went off again. Soon, greetings turned to short talks. Short talks grew into stories. Chioma began to wait by the window at evening, just to see if David would step out. She started fixing her hair, even when she was not going anywhere. She sang louder when he was near. She never said it out loud, but her heart was crossing a small bridge asterisk. Amara noticed she knew her sister. She saw how Chioma laughed at small jokes, how her eyes brightened when she said David's name. But Amara kept quiet. One night when the power cut off, Amara sat outside with her book. The moon gave enough light. David passed with a small plate of jollof rice. He stopped. "You like to read a lot?" He said, "Yes." Amara replied, "What book is that?" He asked, "Law." She answered. He sat on the step near her. "Law is hard," he said, "but it is important. My mother used to say, justice is water that cools a burning heart." "Your mother sounds wise," she said she was. He replied, "She is gone now." "I am sorry." Amara said, "Thank you," he said. Silence sat with them, but it was not empty. It was soft. Amara looked at the moon, round and clean. David asked if she wanted to taste the jollof. She almost said no, but his eyes were honest. She took a spoon. The rice was spicy but good. "This is nice," she said. "Thank you." He smiled. "I learned from a friend when he left." She opened her book again, but the words felt warmer that night. Days turned into weeks. David became part of the compound. He helped Mama and Kichi carry bags from the market. He greeted elders under the mango tree. He bought pure water for children playing ball. He left in the morning with a folder and returned at night with dust on his shoes. He said he worked with a real estate team, finding apartments. Chioma and David grew close. First, they laughed together. She asked him to listen as she practiced lines for a TV audition. He clapped and told her. Her voice was clear. She smiled all night, but Amara and David grew close too. They spoke about books, choices, and life. One rainy night, they shared a small umbrella on the corridor. He told her about the time he almost gave up. He told him about standing up for a classmate. They did not touch, but sometimes words are stronger than hands. Slowly, the sisters noticed each other noticing him. Chioma felt it like a stone in her shoe. Amara felt it like a whisper in a quiet room. One Friday in the kitchen, Chioma was chopping onions while Amara washed plates. "Do you like David?" Chioma asked. "He is a good neighbor." Amara replied, "That is not what I asked." Chioma said, "I asked if you like him." "Do you like him?" Amara asked back. "Maybe. I like him a little." Chioma said he is kind. He listens. I feel seen. Maybe I like him a little too. Amara said he is honest. He makes me think the kitchen was quiet, except for the pot of stew. Bubbling, they promised not to fight over him. Sisters first. They said we will let life choose. But life did not wait for them on Sunday. David visited with a bag of oranges. Mama Nakechi welcomed him inside. He sat on the edge of the chair, polite and calm. As he stood to leave, a small card fell from his pocket. Amara bent to pick it. She saw his photo, but the name on it was Kunli. David quickly took it back with a forced smile. She froze but said nothing. That night she lay awake staring at the ceiling fan. The name Kunli echoed in her mind. Was it a mistake? Was he hiding something? She almost asked him the next day, but fear tied her tongue. Meanwhile, Chioma felt her heart going deeper. David helped her practice her audition. He told her to breathe before each line, to slow down, to remember a real memory. When acting pain, she laughed when she missed a line, and he laughed too. Her heart was full. One calm morning, a woman arrived at the compound. She wore a brown dress and carried a blue bag. Her eyes looked tired as she asked for David. The landlord pointed her to his door. Amara and Chioma peeked from their window. David came out. His face changed when he saw her. "Where have you been?" the woman asked. "Do you still answer the name? Kunle asterisk." The sisters froze. The woman pulled out a printed paper with David's face on it, but the name Kunli beside it. "You cannot keep running," she said. "The past is not a mat you hide under the bed." David had no words. The compound felt cold. The sisters held their breath later in their room. Chioma sat on the bed with her hands tight. Amara stood by the window, her heart heavy. The truth had knocked, and it was not done knocking. "Listen, the man in the fine suit is not here to make peace. He is here to cover lies with money. Hold your breath, because what comes next will test love, courage, and the promise." Two sisters made. The black car stood by the gate. The engine hummed like a beast waiting to bite. The old manager stepped out his suit, shining his eyes sharp. He looked around until they landed on David. He smiled, but it was a cold smile. Kunli, he called the name, carried weight. David stood by his door. His heart beat fast, but his face was calm. "My name is David." Now he said, "I am not the same boy you once controlled." The manager laughed. "You can change your name, but not your past. The court is near. If you speak, you will regret the compound." Went silent. Children stopped their games. Women stopped cooking. The sisters watched from their door. Amara's hands shook Chioma's heart. Raced. David said firmly, "I will speak the truth is mine, not yours." The manager stepped closer. "You think the truth will save you," he said. "It will only bring pain. I know about your sisters. If you speak, they may suffer too. At that, Amara stepped out boldly. "Leave us out of this," she said. "Fight him not." As Chioma stood beside her. "Yes, you cannot scare us." The manager looked surprised, then laughed. "You see, Kunla, you are foolish. You have dragged them into danger if you touch them." David said slowly, "I will shout your crimes for the world to hear before sunset." The landlord raised his voice. "Enough," he said. "Take your fight to the court." The manager hissed, adjusted his suit, and walked back to his car. He turned one last time. "Some truths are too heavy," he said, then drove away. The compound breathed again. Neighbors whispered, doors closed. The sisters rushed to David. "Are you all right?" Amara asked. "I am fine," he said. "But you should be careful. He is dangerous. We will stand with you." Chioma said, "You are not alone." Days passed quickly. The court date came close. David prepared with Aisha. She helped him remember details. Amara explained legal words. Chioma made sure he ate and laughed. They held him steady like wings. Finally, the court day arrived. The room was full. Lawyers in gowns walked about, reporters whispered, families sat with mixed hope. David sat with Aisha, his hands tight. The sisters sat behind him close enough for him to feel their strength when his case was called. David walked to the witness box. His legs shook, but he did not fall. The manager sat across his suit, sharp, his face calm like stone. David raised his hand and swore. His voice was clear. He told them about the missing money, about families who cried, about the night he went to the police, about threats and fear, about running and changing his name, about shame. The room was quiet. Even the judge leaned forward. The manager's lawyer stood and tried to twist his words. He painted David as a coward, a liar, but David stood firm. He did not shout. He repeated the truth again and again, like water washing a stone. When it was done, the judge said the case would continue, but his voice showed respect. The manager did not smile. His eyes were dark outside the court. Reporters gathered. David thanked his sister, thanked those who stood with him. He said, "The truth is not mine alone. It belongs to everyone." That night in the compound, David sat with the sisters. "I must tell you more," he said. "I told you about the name, about the money, about the fear. But there is something I kept asterisk." He looked at the floor, then back at them before I ran. "I was engaged. Her name was Titi when the trouble began. I left her without a word. I thought it would keep her safe. I know I broke her heart last week. I heard she is in Lagos. I do not know if she will call. But if she does, I must face her." Silence filled the room. The sisters felt the weight. Amara said, "Thank you for telling us." Chioma whispered, "Do you still love her?" David shook his head. "I do not know. I must finish this court matter. Only then will I know what remains." He left them with that. The air was heavy. That night sleep did not come easily. The next day, his phone buzzed. Titi sent a message. "Can we meet? I need the truth." David held the phone a long time, then typed yes. He told Aisha, the landlord, and also the sisters he would meet her near the court, where police were close when the time came. The sky was gray with rain. David walked with Aisha by his side. The sisters followed at a distance. They sat under a tree across the street, not to spy, but to be near. Titi arrived with a small bag. Her eyes tired, she sat across David. She did not smile. "Why did you vanish?" she asked. "Why did you leave me with a ring and a hall full of chairs?" David told her about fear, about the threats, about the man in the car, about the call that said, "If you love her, let her go." He said he ran because he thought it was the only way to keep her safe. Titi wiped her eyes. "You broke me," she said. "But if your story is true, maybe you also saved me. Still, you should have trusted me. You are right." David said, "I am sorry." "What now?" Titi asked. "Do you still carry me in your heart across the street?" The sisters sat like clouds holding rain. Aisha stood quietly. David breathed deeply. "I do not know." He said, I must finish this court matter. If your heart still has space, then we will talk. If not, I will carry your forgiveness. Tite placed a small brown envelope on the table. This is the ring, she said. I kept it not because I waited, but because I could not throw it away. Take it if we meet again when your story is clean. We will speak, if not, give it to another promise. But do not run again. She left without looking back. Aisha hugged David and said, It is well. The case continued more days in court. David spoke again. Aisha spoke too. She told how her brother woke at night watching windows, how fear followed him but truth kept pulling him. The manager's car came by the compound again. Neighbors whispered. The landlord spoke to a police friend and quiet watch began. On the last day the court was tense. David told his story once more, steady, clear. A woman stood from the back. She wore a blue scarf. She said on the day she thought her money was gone. A stranger had called and told her, Do not lose hope. She said it was the same voice she heard today. She pointed. At David the court went silent. The manager shifted in his seat. His lawyer bent to whisper, but his face was tight. The judge spoke. Thank you for coming back. The court can do its work better when truth is spoken. Outside the sun was bright reporters. Cold David answered little. He stood with his sister and the two girls by his side. The manager walked past, his mouth tight like sour fruit. The compound held a small gathering that night. Puff fried plantain, music from a radio. Children danced, neighbors clapped. Isha laughed for the first time. In a long while, David stood by the mango tree. Peace moved through him like clear water. He looked at the sisters. He knew he had to speak. Later he asked them to walk with him to the quiet side of the compound near the cracked wall. The moon was soft. I have two things to say. He told them the first is thank you. You gave me space to be brave. The second is hard. I must not break your promise. I must also not hide. He looked at Chioma. Chioma, you brought me laughter. You filled gray days with light. You will shine on any stage you choose. Her smile trembled, but she held it. He turned to Amara. You held my fear steady. You guided me. You showed me peace. My heart has chosen. I choose Amara. The night froze. Amara touched her chest. Tears filled her eyes. Chioma closed. Hers breathed deep, then opened them with quiet strength. She placed her sister's hand into David's and whispered, Sisters first. I will be fine. Amara cried softly. You are. My first friend Chioma smiled. Small, I will cry later. She said tomorrow I will go for that audition. I will turn pain into a script. Watch me. They held each other, all three hands together like a tower that could carry weight.